Hi there, it's Nicole McGuirk with this week's Stampin' Fun Friday, and this week's card features Copic coloring and also Copic air brushing. I airbrushed the cloud background and the grass in front of this cute little Stampavie Mo Manning stamped image. This is the stamp is called End of Summer, I believe. I am going to just do a quick, I guess, kind of drive-by of the coloring of this little girl. I'm speeding through it really fast because it did take probably about 30 minutes to color her, just because the image is so incredibly detailed and there's so many teeny tiny little areas that need colored. I almost always start with the skin when I'm coloring an image like this. So I am coloring her with E000, E00, and E11 with a little R20 for the cheeks. And I just go over it several times to really kind of smooth it out and get the shading right. I moved on to her jeans next. You could color these any color. I just thought it would be fun to make them kind of blue jeans. So I'm coloring those with an array of blue colors. I believe B91, B93, and B95. And then I used just a tad of B99. I don't think I maybe even got that in the video, just to darken the shadows just a little bit. Color her hair, and I'm using some brown colors, or shades of brown, I guess I should say, just to darken it here a little bit because I want her hair to be brown. So it started out pretty kind of yellowish, but I just kept going over it and over it until I got the right coloring. And I'm sorry I went out of frame here just a little bit. I didn't realize I was doing that. And I try not to blend too much when doing her hair. I'm still practicing on that though. Okay, once I have her hair all colored in, I'm going to go ahead and smooth out her skin just a little bit, and I'm going to move on to her shirt. And I wanted it to be kind of not a red per se, but more of a kind of peachy reddish color. And so I'm using R02, which its color is called Flesh, but I would never use it for flesh color. I just don't think it's a very pretty color for that. And then I'm using R05 and R08 to shade it in and darken it. And you can see that really gives it a pretty kind of peachy red color. I'm going to move on to the leaves and the stems of all the flowers and things here, using several shades of green or green yellow. And I'm not really shading, I started with a lighter color and then added just a little bit deeper color. Normally you would go back over with the lighter color, but in these small areas that's not really necessary. It kind of blends on its own. I'm going to add the same colors that I used for her shirt on the little straps of her flip-flops there. Decided to go back and add a little of that peach color or reddish color to the bottoms of her flip-flops. And then for the flowers, I'm going to add some yellow to all of those. And I'm starting with a really pale yellow, Y11. And then I'm going to use Y19 to darken those up just a little bit. And just like the leaves, I'm not going to need to shade those at all. I'm just going to add a tiny bit of dark right there around the center, and they will kind of blend on their own. So there is what she looks like, all colored. Now I have already stamped and cut out my mask from the masking paper for this. It was a little bit tedious because the image is so detailed and has so many tiny little areas. And you can see I even tore my mask, but that's okay. Just place that right back on there. So I've masked off the entire thing. That was a little bit of work. And now I'm going to use a couple of sticky notes to mask off the skyline. I'm going to do the grass first. And this is the Copic airbrush system, and I am just adding a lighter color of green kind of all over the bottom part of my image. I'm going to go back with a little bit darker. And I know this is quick and fast. I will try to do a more detailed airbrushing video a little bit later on. I'm going to peel off my sticky note there, and it tore off some of my mask, so I'm replacing that. I'm going to move my sticky notes and cover up the grass now. Now I punched out a couple of clouds from some scrap paper, and I'm just going to temporarily adhere them up there, and I'm going to just airbrush right around those clouds. And then I'm going to pick those up and move them a little bit, and I'm going to kind of layer my background. You can see I'm just going to airbrush around these now, just around the edge to get the outline of the cloud. Again, carefully pick that up and move it, and you can see it, they're starting to overlap one another, and it gives a really pretty cloud background effect. I really like this. I'm going to add another cloud there. Again, airbrush around them, and even though the airbrushing is covering up some of those first clouds, you can still see them peek through, and it just is a really nice layered effect. I'm going to go back in and touch up with some blue where places I missed, and I'm going to go ahead and peel up my mask now. Carefully remove all those little bits and pieces. Some of it had to be masked off in separate pieces, and there's what it looks like. And it just really adds a lot to the image. Now I have my card, and it's going to be an 8.5 by 4¼ inch card, square card. And I've trimmed that out of some of the paper tray ink fine linen cardstock. And I trimmed my airbrushed and stamped image to 4¼ square. I'm going to round the top 2 corners of the card and of the stamped piece. And I'm going to adhere that to my card base. So you can see the card already has a lot of detail. It doesn't really need a whole lot more. For my greeting, I'm going to use the Sizzix Big Shot and use this double-ended banner die from Paper Tray Ink. And this is some of the cardstock, also from Paper Tray Ink, and I'm using Melon Berry and Berry Sorbet, the 2 colors you see there, and I'm just going to layer the lighter one on top of the darker one, just for a little bit of a shadowed effect. I'm going to use Paper Tray Ink stamp for my greeting as well. This one says "Just Because." And then it has a whole bunch of cute little sayings underneath it. I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with my greeting there, and ultimately I decided to layer it on the darker color of Paper Tray Ink cardstock. I'm going to use some soft suede brown ink from Stampin' Up. It's kind of my favorite go-to brown color, and stamp that right there on that banner. You see, that's a really cute greeting. And then I just added some white stitching pin detail around the edge and popped it up with some pop dots. For more information, please visit my blog at www.nicolemcgork.typepad.com on February 4th, 2011. Thanks for watching.